Greetings, welcome to the SciFi Pubcast, the podcast that tries to be a pub, and perhaps someday a pub that tries to be a podcast. As always, we are looking for customers to come visit our bar, so if you're passionate about something, you want to be on a podcast, well, let us know, because this bar is all about community. If you want to help us out, please consider leaving a 5-star review wherever you find the show, joining our Discord server, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. I'm Joel. I'm the owner of the SciFi Pubcast, so to speak. And today, looking around, we have a regular crew on today. Our regular staff members, Carrie Simpson and Derek BB. Hi, guys.
Hey.
Hi.
Hey. Yes, I was bad last night. I drank too many beers. But hey, let's talk
You
about
want one
Marvel.
of mine?
Yeah, no, I'm drinking coffee right now, like my 8th one of the day. So that's good. What can happen? It's a bar. These things happen. You know, it's part of the human condition. Absolutely.
This is true.
Let's see. Let's start. Carrie, how's life in Southern California?
Los Angeles County is going back to its mask mandates because, too many people are still getting the virus, and we can't have nice things.
It happens. I think COVID is here to stay.
Definitely.
Yep, but yeah.
But because we're back over like almost 2,000 cases a day, doesn't matter if you're vaccinated or not. You gotta wear a mask indoors.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone who's
That's
not doing their part.
we still have to wear masks in Ontario and in Canada. So you guys have less restrictions than we do right now. And we just entered step 3 in Ontario. So the bar's open now with lots of restrictions.
Well, that's good.
There you go. Yeah. And Derek, how you doing?
Hey, like you, I had a little bit too much to drink last night, as you know I want to do, but I chugged plenty of coffee this morning, and I think I'm okay.
Oh,
Wait, Derek, you don't drink.
Oh, yeah, sure, all the time.
Okay. Right. Okay. How's our kitchen doing, Derek?
Clean and spotless as always, and I prepared a variety of nice, high-priced gourmet meals for us at the bar.
Who are you and what have you done with Derek?
You're not Derek.
No.
Yes, I am. I am definitely Derek. Okay, I'm not a variant or anything. I've been here the whole time. Don't worry about it. Everything's fine.
What is this bullshit?
He's a variant. Yeah, what happened?
No.
What,
Everything's fine. Everything's fine. No, move on.
What's next? There's going to be like a Loki alligator in the kitchen, as a dishwasher?
Or a Throg?
Oh, God. Oh, yeah, that'd be another one. Yeah. Come on. What's up with that? We're expecting some sort of crass joke, involving Black Widows and webs or stuff like that. We have like a real kitchen happening? My God.
Yeah. It's always been like this. Don't worry. It's all good.
Oh, God. I'm not sure why my head is hurting, whether it's because I drank too much last night or because of, the show, but yeah. Okay, I'm just going to move on. Because today we are talking Marvel's latest cinematic release, Black Widow, 2021, directed by Kate Shortland. And we are going to finish our discussion on Season 1 of Loki, which is found on Disney+. There's so much new Marvel stuff that's happening. It's amazing. So, of course, we're talking spoilers. So if you haven't seen Black Widow or Loki or any of the MCU movies up to this point, please stop this podcast.
Stop this madness?
Stop this watching us and go out and see this and then come back. So let's discuss. Let's start with Black Widow and then move into Loki. So guys, what was your first impression of the film Black Widow? Let's go with Derek because he seems to be odd today.
I really like Black Widow. Going into it, any MCU movie I'm going to love, but going into Black Widow, I mean, like, it was the one I was least excited about. It is going to be a relatively small-scale spy story, an origin story for a character who's already passed on in the main continuity, so I was obviously excited to see it, particularly now that it's the first new Marvel movie in 2 years, but I wasn't that jazzed about it the way it would be about for an Avengers movie or anything, but it definitely did exceed my expectations. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I thought that Yelena was a really great character, a great performance, a great character, really funny. I liked her a lot more than I expected to, and I'm very excited about her having a future in the MCU now because she was a really great character who was just instantly charming and fun and cool. And Red Guardian was great as well. All the characters were a lot more interesting than I thought they were going to be. And the action scenes were very cool and very brutal. It was very unlike a typical Marvel movie where everything is kind of weightless and comic booky and like nothing looks like it actually hurts. These, I mean, some of the takedowns and stuff, they were violent and painful looking. I mean, it was very, Bourne style real world stuff that looked like it hurt and had weight and reality to it.
Well, I mean, that goes along with the, Yelena's comment about, Natasha being the only Avenger that has to take ibuprofen after a fight.
Yeah, well, I'm sure Hawkeye does too.
Well, I'm sure Hawkeye does too.
Yeah, but
but she's bad at Hawkeye, so
But yeah, I really liked it. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought it would. And the third act with the whole falling Red Room thing, that was very cool and over the top. It was maybe not completely necessary, but it was cool. It was exciting. The whole free fall sequence was great. So I really liked it all the way through. I had no major complaints.
Interesting. Carrie, what's your first impression?
I really liked it. I thought it was funnier than I was expecting it to be for, a movie that is basically dealing with some pretty serious and really screwed up subject matter. I think the only complaint I have about the movie, this is something I've seen echoed other places, is that this is something that should have been done after Endgame.
Yeah.
Or after Winter Soldier.
Or after, no, because this one came this is the time between Civil War and Infinity War.
Well, I mean, in the more general sense that they should have done a Black Widow movie after Winter Soldier. Not this particular story, but a Black Widow movie.
Okay, yeah, I agree with that, and then maybe we would have gotten some more actual stuff about Budapest instead of just having references to it. But I think they could have done this. They could have done the movie after Civil War or right after Infinity War. The latest they should have released this movie would have been after Endgame. Now, granted, we probably wouldn't have gotten the end credit scene if they had done that, but they could have added that somewhere else, maybe.
Now, to be fair, it was actually released after Endgame.
True. I meant right after Endgame.
Oh, well, I know, guys, my impressions of this movie, I didn't think it was a great movie. I thought it was good for Marvel. It was a Marvel movie, MCU. It didn't really struck any of my chords, so to speak. I'm not sure. It started off like The Americans, the TV show, and it just didn't grab me. And I think it's just because my taste. I think with me, I love Marvel movies when it deals with Thor and Loki or Doctor Strange, the big picture, more fantastical.
You like the superpowered human.
Yeah.
You like the superpowered characters.
Yeah, and when it gets more mundane, and I don't mean that as a bad way, I just kind of lose interest. But
Wait, Joel. So
Yeah.
are you saying that you don't like any of the Batman movies?
I know.
Because Batman doesn't have any powers either.
Yeah, I know. I think, come on, there's Thor and Loki in this universe, right? Okay.
Yeah, but we can't always have, the battles of the gods. We can't always have the alien invaders. Sometimes you have to come back to Earth once in a while.
I do. Yeah, and I need to rewatch it. I only saw it once, and There's a lot of things I probably miss in the movie. But it's Marvel. I love content, so that's good. And quite frankly, you mentioned this before, Carrie, is that it did deal with some serious subject material, right? Sex trafficking and slaving and brainwashing and controlling, right? And gaslighting, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All right, okay. And for what ends? And it's also neat to see kind of like the Soviet take on Shield. The Red Room's floating in the air, very similar to Shield's aircraft carriers, right? Or helicopter. What's the proper
helicarrier?
Helicarrier. There you go.
Well, and the whole Red Room thing, where it was located, kind of begs the question of how many of these flying fortresses are in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, and you think about it too. Is like, couldn't they pick up on satellites? Just saying, But who knows?
Well, it was in a cloud, so.
That explains. Yeah, because infrared doesn't
It doesn't even have any camouflage technology on it.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's right. Because in Avengers 1, the helicarrier had that little shimmery, fake image broadcast,
and all the planes in Shield have the same thing.
Yeah. I like the fact that was. This has been pointed out by others in the podcasting world and YouTube world, is that this movie, Black Widow, there's lots of layers to it because it speaks to Black Widow's layers, right, as a character. She's a very complex character who's made decisions throughout her life, and major decisions. The fact that she defected to S.H.I.E.L.D., the fact that she tried to kill the big bad Russian guy, what's his name?
Dreykov's daughter.
Yeah. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Dreykov himself, right? So, let's talk about that. What do you think of Romanoff's character, of Black Widow's character, and her journey?
I really liked this. It finishes up to a degree the journey that we saw her start in, more like Avengers rather than Iron Man 2. So you see her, starting to realize that she has this family around her that she's willing to protect, and then by the end of this movie, she is reminded that she has two families that she needs to do everything she can to protect from harm.
Yeah, like in her first appearances, she's always very caged off and cryptic with people. In Winter Soldier, Steve doesn't know if he can trust her or not, and even in Civil War, she's switching sides. We don't know what side she's on or what she's thinking. But then by the time Endgame comes around, she's like the mama bear of the surviving Avengers. She's the leader. She's the one checking in on everyone and taking care of them. So.
Then she's the one making the sacrifice for everyone else.
Yeah. So you could argue whether or not this movie was necessary for that, but there was definitely a difference in her characters in her first appearances versus in her last appearance in Endgame.
Do you think this movie buttressed the emotional impact of her death in Endgame?
I haven't seen Endgame since seeing the movie, so I'm not sure, but.
I think it gives it more impact.
It certainly provides more context.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, interesting.
Because now you see that there are more people that are going to miss her than just the Avengers themselves. I mean, she has this whole other family that she kind of had left, she hadn't completely written off, but
right.
It was they weren't in her life.
Yeah, it's interesting because you think of superheroes as being super, right? They don't really have their own families. Maybe a few of them do, but we don't it doesn't come to my mind right away, right? They're supposed to be more super than the normal people. Normal people have families, not superheroes. Then, of course,
not superheroes and not Starfleet officers.
Yeah, apparently. But there are exceptions, of course. Yeah. What do you make of this? The villain in this film, Taskmaster.
Taskmaster was creepy.
Yeah, mimic. It likes up to mimic, which goes with this layered approach to characters, right?
Hmm.
Is a copy of themselves, and how many copies does it take to degrade one's values or oneself?
Well, and just the fact that Dreykov did that to his own daughter, it's like that's really fucked up.
Yeah, and the fact of the matter too is that Black Widow did try to off him and didn't care about collateral damage, which was the daughter, right? You know,
Well, that was a condition of her defecting to Shield. She
yeah,
said that in the movie.
You have
But
to kill this
also,
little girl.
yeah,
yeah,
but also, I mean, that's where she was. That's the kind of mental state she was in when she first defected. It's like, okay, collateral damage is fine. By the end of her story arc, the only person she's really to sacrifice is herself.
yeah, yeah. I think she felt some guilt afterwards, right?
Mhm.
Some cognitive dissonance going on emotionally, and
Oh yeah.
because her values, right? She developed new values or different values than her old self, and that's shown is shown through her journey. So
Well, and Red Guardian says it,
yeah,
right off the bat. You're talking about how, Natasha's ledger is probably dripping with blood from all the people that she's killed, and if you go back to Endgame, talking about how she doesn't want to be that person anymore.
yeah. It's hard for people to relate to that because most people aren't assassins. Most people don't use violence in real life, right? But
Right.
this is make believe, which is cool. And so, yeah, try to empathize with someone who kills for a living in such a way. Yeah, it can be difficult, I think, but it's there. It's definitely there because it must be a lonely place to be.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Before we get off the subject of Taskmaster, I would have to say that was my one major ding against the movie. What they did within the context of the film was fine, but I don't know if you guys know Taskmaster from the comic books. He's this comedic D-lister villain. He's kind of like Deadpool. He's actually buddies with Deadpool. So, I mean, the movie version was absolutely nothing like the comic book version. So it is kind of a shame that we're never going to get to see that version of Taskmaster. I mean, I guess you could always do a second guy who does it, but he was always a really fun character because he was like completely mercenary. He only cared about money, and he works for bad guys or good guys. He doesn't care who. He usually trains the lackeys of the big bad guys. He has like a supervillain training school for like the random Cobra Commando guys. And yeah, he's a really funny character. So it's a shame that we didn't get to see that side of him. But for the needs of the movie, I understand why they did what they did. And I did think that his/her initial appearances were very cool and very badass. When she blows Nat off the bridge and when she attacks him in Budapest was very cool. I was hoping there was going to be more of a knockdown fight with her at the end. It was very quick and aborted. And I was also disappointed that she fought Red Guardian, but the vast majority of that was off screen. They cut away. And that would have been really cool to see because he has superpowers and she doesn't. So I was definitely interested in seeing how that fight turned out, and we didn't really get to see it. So, yeah, that's like my one major minor nit about the movie.
Interesting. Now, what's this about mutants? Did we see our first mutant in this film?
That
I
is,
don't think so.
Well, okay, so there was a character in prison with Anatoly, by
Ursa.
the name of Ursa Major. He doesn't have his power. He doesn't have powers yet.
Mm.
So is he one of the first mutants we've seen in the MCU? Maybe. I don't know. I was saying this on another Discord channel. I kind of like the idea of some mutants having always been there.
Right.
And for whether you liked the movie or not, I mean, that was kind of the impetus behind Apocalypse and, well, any appearance of Apocalypse in the Marvel universe, comic or otherwise, is that, mutants have always been there.
Right.
It's just that we're now turning the spotlight on it, and it's not even that, because mutant is a very specific designation in Marvel Comics. So, Fantastic Four, they got their powers from a cosmic storm, but Sue and Reed's son Franklin inherited his powers, so he's a mutant.
Right.
Peter Parker got his powers from a spider bite, but his daughter May inherited her powers, so she's also a mutant. So it's like, if you were born with the powers, you're a mutant. If you obtain your powers by some other means, you're not a mutant.
Okay.
And that's in the comics, though. I don't know how specific they're going to get about that in the MCU.
Mm-hmm. Derek, you have any thoughts?
I'm of the firm belief that just because you had a guy there named Ursa, that doesn't mean that he was a mutant. Like, he certainly didn't show any powers, and I find it really hard to believe that they're just gonna, say, oh, they were here all along, we just never heard or saw them before, and they never participated in any of the many, many, many stories and battles and end of the world scenarios that have taken place up till now. They're already pulling that trick with the Eternals, who we're going to see in November. So to do it with the Eternals, and then a few years later to turn around and do it again with the mutants and say, oh, here's these two major groups that just weren't visible before now, even though they've always been here. I just find that really strains credulity.
I don't know, though, because it's a big universe, and I know people have complained, about the Star Wars universe. Everyone keeps running into everyone else, and for a very big galaxy, it's very, everyone keeps running into everyone. So it's a very small galaxy, but it's also a very big galaxy all at the same time. I think it's totally plausible in the MCU that, the mutants can be around, the Eternals can be around. There can be other things that we don't know about in the context of the MCU, but, they're there. It's, the whole, to wax Shakespearean for a bit, more things in heaven and earth ratio. Just because they're not there doesn't mean just because you don't see them doesn't mean they weren't there to begin with.
Yeah,
but like all the times that Thanos attacked Earth, or all the alien invasions, they never popped up to help.
Well, and I think one of the theories about the Eternals movie is that Thanos is going to be the catalyst that gets the Eternals off their butt and gets them involved in whatever it was that whatever it is that they're going to get involved in for Phase 4. The mutants, who knows? I mean, there could be, like, I don't know, like, mutant registries and all this other shit that they might be more concerned with. That, when Thanos comes and snaps half the population out of existence, suddenly it's like, oh shit, there's this bigger thing we have to worry about.
Well, it's, this is the first film in Phase 4 of the MCU. We'll see what happens in the other films, right? And the tie-ins and the Easter eggs and all that. Personally, I want to see, like, the Fountain of Youth because I need it right now, and hopefully it's not fictional. It's actually real, and somehow I can get some of that fine liquid into me, so I can, don't die, live forever, or thereabouts. There's that. Let me ask you this, guys. I saw this film, Black Widow, on Disney Plus. Do you guys see it as well on the streaming service, or did you actually go to a cinema? to watch it.
Oh,
Yeah,
I went.
yeah, I just bought it.
Yeah. I know in Ontario the cinemas weren't open during that time, so I had no choice. But I wonder how many people actually saw this in the theater. You know, it did fairly decent in the box office considering it's pandemic world.
Yeah, it had the best opening weekend since Rise of Skywalker in December 2019.
Yeah, so that's encouraging.
It
Yeah.
even beat out Fast and Furious 9, which I found kind of surprising. Because that is theatrical only, whereas Black Widow, you had the option of buying it at home.
Right. And,
Well, who knows if theaters shut down again? Then
yeah, not good, not good.
no.
What do you guys make of the post-credit scene?
I think that is a very cool way to set up the Hawkeye series potentially. I think Julia Louis-Dreyfus is fabulous as Val.
Mm.
And I know there are people that are upset that, Yelena just got her independence and she's ready right into the arms of Val and possibly either the Thunderbolts or the Dark Avengers. But, like, if she's grieving, and I don't think Val is above taking advantage of someone while they're grieving,
Yeah, things are happening, I think, and
yeah,
that's good. Derek, what's your take, man? Post-credit.
I thought it was a cool scene, but I was disappointed that there wasn't something setting up a movie and not just one of the TV shows. So I was expecting some kind of completely out of the blue thing for Shang-Chi or the Eternals. So I was hoping for that, but
I wasn't expecting anything like that.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts on Black Widow before we turn our attention to the remaining Loki episodes?
Well, Joe, I would like to zero in on why you didn't like it. Did you not like the interactions with Yelena and Red Guardian? Didn't you think that stuff was, funny and interesting and everything?
Did you just call me Joe?
No.
I think he did.
I think you just called me Joe. No. My name's Joel with an L.
Yes.
Okay,
Joe
okay,
L.
Daniel? Okay.
Joe L, like Kal-El.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. I thought with Black Widow, I like the dialogue. I think it needed more dialogue and more funny moments, right? Because I like the David Harbour, Red Guardian. I love the shtick, right? Okay. I just thought it needed some more comedy. But
Did you think the action scenes were cool?
yeah, it's lots of CGI, and I think that's the problem with watching it on Disney Plus rather than in a cinema, right? Is that there's less, emph on the CGI world. To me, it's like too much CGI. But if I was more immersed in it in a big theater, I will probably like it more than I did.
I don't know. I do have to say one more thing. Rachel Weisz is fabulous.
Yeah.
And her Melina was awesome. And I am really, really scared about those pigs. Those pigs freak me out.
Yeah, they're not a bore, that's for sure.
I mean, I've read the Animal Farm too, so that just adds another layer of.
Mm-hmm. Whereas with Loki, I love Loki. I thought it was great. I really like episode 5, when we're at the end of the time, we have all these variants running around. I thought it was really neat to see all the little Easter eggs and tie-ins. And of course, we have episode 6, the little twist at the end with the different variants and different roles, and everything's in chaos now.
Mm-hmm.
Just imagine how many versions of Derek we have in the MCU.
Oh gods.
No, there's no variance. It's just me.
Right.
You should stop saying that, really.
There you go.
I had a serious flashback to Serenity at the end of episode 4. If it had been for the fact that it was after midnight when I watched episode 4, I might have screamed.
All right.
When Loki got pruned, but then we had the end credit scene. It's like, oh god,
Yeah.
thank you Odin, thank you Thor.
I love Morbius. I love Owen Wilson, right? Okay, because I'm a huge Wes Anderson fan, and he's been in several of his movies, and I think he is outstanding in the fact that hey, he got pruned too. Oh, that was disappointing. But nah,
But he got better too.
he got better too.
Because we found out what happened to all the people who got pruned.
Yeah, and which is a good little twist. They didn't just die, right? They just went
No.
to the end of time. Cool.
No. But apparently only the Lokis survive being at the end of time. So
Yeah.
They're survivors.
only survive the void.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's get the big guy out of the way first. What do you think of Kang the Conqueror, or He Who Remains?
I love that they never actually let him say his name. I mean, he explains who he is, and apparently Kate Herron was on record saying that isn't actually Kang as we might know him in the comics, but it is where was it?
Well, it was like a variant of him at the end of his lifetime.
It is a variant of him. It's I have the article up here.
Yeah.
And the implication was that he was the original scientist who discovered the multiverses all the way back when he's describing, like, the first Kang was the first one. It's kind of implied that was him. He was the first one, and he's very, very ancient.
Okay, so this version of Kang is actually Immortus.
Yeah. Which is another version of Kang, right? There's
it's another version of Kang, but there's a specific version of Kang that they were using. I also love that apparently Lee Majors was the voice of the Timekeeper bots.
Yeah, that was great.
Jonathan Majors.
Or Jonathan Majors.
Yeah.
Lee Majors is someone else.
Yeah.
What do you guys make?
Thank you, Variant Derek, by the way.
Yeah.
No, I'm not a variant. No.
There we go. We're all variants in our own way, man.
Uh-huh.
Well, yeah, that's the funny thing, because if you think about it, really, I mean, there is no prime universe, so everyone is technically a variant and should not be clipped by the TVA. That's very uncool of them, I mean, like, there's really no prime timeline. Like, we're all just a timeline, so, it's not fair to be going after particular people from particular timelines.
Yeah. Well, that just raises the question: the ultimate option between Loki and Sylvie, which pushed them apart, is that what do you do with it? Do you keep this guy, He Who Remains, who's this dictator who brings order to the multiverse through the TVA, or do you usurp him and hopefully deal with the even worse people that's going to be showing up in other forms of Kang the Conquerors?
Well, yeah. What's better? The insane person that you've gotten to know over the course of 45 minutes, or whatever insanity might come from killing him, and is he lying? Because Kang, I'm sure Kang is probably lying about some of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I would.
The truth is, to quote Captain Hook, the truth is far too much fun.
I would argue that our Loki is the best liar around. So if anyone is going to be able to pick out a liar, it would be him. So if he thinks that Kang was telling the truth, then I would believe him then. But unfortunately, Sylvie had too much of a hard life, a hunted life, to ever see past her original goal. So she was unable to change or accept new information the way he was, and they had their little breakup.
Yeah, and do you think Sylvie pushed him through the portal to the TVA, knowing that's in a different timeline, or not?
I don't know. I don't think she is aware of where she sent him. I think she just sent him away. And I told a couple people, I had a bit of a flashback to the Tim Burton Planet of the Apes movie with that whole thing where he shows up and suddenly everything has changed except for him. Yeah. But fortunately, we get a season 2, unlike the Planet of the Apes movie. So now we're left to wonder with Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes, like how he ended up on a planet on a planet Earth where the apes are in charge now.
Yeah, it's the whole screwing with the timeline thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it remains to be seen whether or not, I mean, my assumption is that he was sent into a different multiverse where an evil king rules. But it's also possible that he did go back to the original one, but the timeline was altered by their actions.
Yeah.
So that the original Mobius, that was the original Mobius, but he's been altered by the timeline changes. I don't think they're going to go that way because, that would be kind of annoying if they like wiped out characters or changed them like that. But it's possible.
It could be something akin to what happens in Quiet Leap. It's like, so Al is the only one Al and Sam are pretty much the only one who remember what things were like before they made any changes to the timeline. So it's like, and I don't remember if this is on the actual show Quantum Leap, but I know it's in a couple of the books where like Al walks out of the place where he interacts with Sam, and he has to like spend a few minutes reacquainting himself with what's been changed and what people in the future remember and stuff like that. So
this is what I really like about Loki and Marvel content like the series, is because it's the mystery. There's always plots, shifts and plot points and things that's unexpected. Whereas I think in Black Widow, everything I saw, I expected it. So to me, that's why I enjoy watching Loki so much better than Black Widow. No, and to each your own. Just from a personal point of view, I really like the intellectual stuff and the humor and the fact that with this series Loki, they really go into Loki's character, his mindset, and flesh things out. And I really like this discussion between determinism and free will. I really find that neat. And of course, what I'm really looking forward to in season 2, and hopefully they will address this because this is the biggest question I can think about this series, is will Mobius ever get his jet skis?
I'm sure they're saving that for the series finale. That'll be like the touching coda scene.
I feel sorry for Doctor Strange, because this is supposed to be, this is the series that's supposed to be this and WandaVision are supposed to be the ones having the most impact on Doctor Strange too. And you gotta feel for Doctor Strange going, really, guys? I had to clean up all this shit, really?
Yeah. Well, at least he's competent. He can probably do it. So. Yeah. What do you think about this whole guard dog obstacle? How do you say it? Alioth. Yeah. Well, that was pretty neat.
That was really cool. That's not a character I'm familiar with from the comics. I know Guardians of the MCU did over on Random Chatter did a profile of Alioth, kind of, sort of, a few weeks ago. But yeah, it wasn't a character or a creature I was familiar with.
Yeah, I definitely never heard of it either. I need to go and read those comics on Marvel Unlimited. It's apparently very obscure, like only made a couple of appearances in the 90s or something, but I thought it was really cool. I mean, I basically loved everything at all about Loki, but yeah, that was a really great episode. And it was very cinematic too, having to fight this massive smoke monster that's like the size of a skyscraper and everything. It was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's like one big video game, killing the boss in order to get to the next scene. Yeah, you have that going on, and I like how the series really played with the Wizard of Oz, aspect of it, right? Seeing the man behind the curtain, but not in an obvious way, and they waited an episode or two to get there, right? It's more like, YouTube people have pointed this out. This is not an original thought, but it's more like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory than Wizard of Oz.
Or in a way is kind of like Super Mario Brothers, where you get to the end of the level, it's like, I'm sorry, Mario, our princess is in another castle. Well, shit.
hey, that castle, I must admit, would be a great place to put a pub in.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
You call it the
Assuming-
pub at the end of the universe.
It's giving me ideas for this show. The Sci-Fi
And we could
Pubcast.
put a Burger King's right next to it.
Oh God, Burger King.
I don't know. I don't know. Pub at the end of the universe there might be some copyright issues with milliways we'd have to work out.
Yeah.
And I know, although this version of Derek is as cheap as the normal version, Joel, so we might be able to get away with it.
Yeah.
Version? What version of Derek?
Oh God. So money.
Stop saying that, Carol.
I'm sorry. What?
Stop saying that, Karen. Carrie.
You know I could kick your ass, right?
We apologize to all the Karens in the world. Okay. Now moving on. What else, guys? What else do you think of this Loki? I love the multiple Lokis. I think the allocated Loki was amazing because of just the absurdity of it. What do we want to see happen in season 2 besides Morbius and his jet skis?
I don't know, just more insanity and more Loki. I'm a very simple person with no expectations.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that Loki season 2 is going to be some kind of a direct lead-in to the next phase of the Marvel movies, because at this point I'm basically assuming that the next 5 to 10 movies are going to be about Kang and this multiversal war of Kang versus Kang with us trapped in the middle. And my hope is that Loki season 2 is basically going to lead into him returning back to the Prime timeline to warn the Avengers about what's to happen, that he is going to find his way back into the movies, and he's going to be like the guy saying like, hey, here's what's going on, here's what you need to do to fight it. He's basically going to be the advanced scout for the Avengers against this next great threat.
I lied. So I kind of want to see this further exploration of how Loki has evolved from someone who wanted to rule the universe to someone who realizes that, no, I really don't want to. I really don't. I neither want nor need to be in charge of stuff.
Yeah, he would rather just start, a sing along in a bar and dance, and on a train, at the end of the world.
Yep.
A lament. Yes.
Now, I have a question for you, Joe and Carol. Do you think that Loki and Sylvie is an incestual relationship, or is it completely, acceptable? Because, to my mind, they're not family members. He's not his sister, I don't think it's incestual, but what do you guys think?
I don't know. Joel, do you know who he's talking to?
I'm really disturbed, but I think that's the whole point.
I mean, to answer Darren's question over here, they're both Loki variants, and if Loki is gonna love anyone, he's gonna love himself.
Yeah.
So that the relationship totally works.
And the whole thing, the central stuff is, of course, if they have offspring, there's genetic issues and all that, right? That's why there's a prohibition against that culturally in most places.
But yeah, the only person worthy, the most worthy person for any version of Loki is himself. So.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue that it's not incest; it's masturbation.
No.
Okay.
Free will, individual agency, all that good stuff, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, I actually thought that they were very, sweet together and made a good couple. I didn't have any moral objections to it. I did think that I thought she was a great character too, well acted, well portrayed. Yeah. I hope we see them end up together.
Yeah.
Imagine if they have children. Think about that.
That could be interesting.
All right. Any last thoughts of Loki?
Well, I never gave general thoughts at the top, but I really loved the Loki series. I thought all 3 Marvel series were great, but this was definitely my favorite. It was a huge game changer. They said in an interview ahead that this was going to be the series with the most impact on the MCU. And I didn't really buy that because, WandaVision was setting up Wanda in a huge way. And Falcon introduced the new Captain America. So I thought, well, what is Loki going to do? He's off in like his own little side reality. What does this have to do with anything? And man, how wrong I was. I never in a million years thought that this would be where we would get the introduction to the next Thanos of the MCU. And I was so delighted when that happened. I mean, all 6 episodes were solid, but going into the finale, we'd had so many hints about it being Kang, just like in WandaVision, we had so many hints that it was Mephisto, that I was basically convinced it was never actually going to happen, that it was just going to be another Loki in the castle or something like that. And the Marvel Studios fan news show podcast that I listened to, they were convinced too it was just going to be another Loki, and they convinced me. So I kind of went in with lowered, tempered expectations that there was no way we were ever going to see Jonathan Majors in this episode. Maybe in a tiny little post-credit cameo. So when he showed up and was in the entire episode, and the entire thing was this Quentin Tarantino style confrontation where like the villain is monologuing at you and there's the constant threat of violence breaking out at any moment, that was brilliant. It blew me away. I absolutely loved it. I was so happy to see him there. And while the character certainly wasn't what I expected we were going to get, I mean, Kang is a very serious, straight character, and this guy was all over the place. I found it a little off-putting initially, but I got with it quickly because it's not the Kang, it's a Kang. It's an old Kang who's kind of a nice guy at the end of his lifetime, so he is going to be a little eccentric and kooky. So, I didn't mind that. And I was also thinking like, well, this is the MCU. Everything has to have a sense of humor about it. So I don't know what the final Kang is going to be like, but it kind of made sense to make him kind of weird and kooky and hopping on the desk and stuff. But yeah, I absolutely loved it. The 5th episode was amazing with all the Loki variants. It was so funny. Richard Grant was so cool as classic Loki, wearing the original 1960s costume. I don't have a single bad thing to say about this series. It was so great all the way through.
Wow, how can we come after Daniel's little speech there? That's amazing. Good on you, Daniel.
Good job, Daniel.
Carrie,
Wait, Daniel, I'm Daryl. Derek, I'm Derek.
See, he can't even keep himself straight. This is great.
I'm Dave from Kenmore. No, okay. Right, Carrie, what's your overall thoughts or last thoughts on this series, Loki?
The nice thing about having very very few expectations is I can be pleasantly surprised by anything. I think WandaVision helped train those of us, those who had expectations about seeing, XYZ characters show up, that who you think is going to show up won't necessarily be the people who show up. I would not have been surprised, or I would have been pleasantly surprised if Thor or Heimdall actually showed up at some point in the series.
Thor did show up. That was even Chris Hemsworth voicing the frog. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Throg did show up, but I that's not what I meant. I would have been pleasantly surprised if Matt Damon had showed up as
I never thought of that.
As a version of Loki.
Yes.
The idea that it might have been another Loki at the end of the level, or something else, it might have worked, but Kang, with what little I know about Kang, it just works. And considering that we're next going to see him in Quantumania, that's just setting up so many things for this series, for the rest of the MCU. So good on them.
I think Loki, this series, is the best thing that Marvel has produced since Infinity Endgame. I agree with Derek. Out of the 3 recent Marvel series, this is by far my favorite. Only because it's Loki, so I have an affinity for Norse gods to begin with, and it was so much fun.
Oh yes, this show made my happy heathen heart very happy.
Right, that's amazing. Cool. There we go. We talked about Black Widow and Loki under an hour so far. Yay! Okay, but it's time to close our doors. That's right. We have to get out and do stuff because, hey, we can. So this show is
Speak
released.
for yourself, Jonathan.
Yeah. I'll be editing the rest of the day. Never mind. This show is released as a podcast and on YouTube. Subscribe today and check out our Discord server. It's a great source of news and discussion. You can find the Discord server invites on our social media, which is our media. Grammar questions, please write to us with the correct answer. Where can be found on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I do the Twitter and Instagram, and my friend Derek does the Facebook page. That's you, right, Derek?
Yes, Daryl.
Daryl.
Yes.
You're doing a great job, man. Keep it up.
Thank you. I've always been here.
Oh,
Is it this version of Daryl that does the Facebook, or is it a different version?
My head.
No, it's Darren.
God. Okay, Dudley. And let's see. All right, if you want to send the pub an email, you can do it at management@scifipubcast.space. Carrie, what's your Twitter address?
My Twitter handle is Kerry Blackfire42. That's KERI Blackfire42.
And what other podcasts are you on?
I am on DC Talk, Cape Chronicles, and Enter the Dojo over at the Random Chatter Network.
Excellent. Derek, Dudley, I don't know. Dip,
I don't know, whoever
person.
this third person is.
Derek.
Okay, let's just go with, what's your Twitter address, man?
It is DARRYLL at space.space.com.
Okay, you may...
The spaces are the underscores.
I see. Okay, good. Be careful out there, man. I know there's things happening. People are trying to correct the timeline, right? So the sacred timeline. Yeah, be careful. Well, my name is Joel. I can be found on Twitter at Joel_Welch. WELCH. It's closing time. Please take care and make it home safe. We'll see you next time. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.
Music provided courtesy of Logan Rathbone. Podcast logo by Duran. Copyrighted Joe Welch. Listen responsibly, and we can't wait for your next visit to our fine establishment. Cheers.